There you are. I've been looking all over for you. You're just in time. We almost had to start without you.
What exactly were you starting without me now?
We've talked a lot about combat,
We
I
have.
think. What are your thoughts so far on the story and the characters?
What's the overarching story so far?
I feel bad. We're asking the ignorant guy. I'm like the gray word
Strolling
that's just
down the
drank the
lane.
blood.
Yeah,
you
you
know? Like, I
just
barely-
did the joining.
I'm like, I don't know what looks icky. That's one thing I was gonna say. I was kind of waiting to get to the story because it seems like, and this might just be a guy bitching. It seems a little bit less story driven than the other games, I guess. The tutorial, where you kind of find out that you're the Quee, the Inquisitor, trademark Quee TBD.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like it's a little bit less story driven. Like the tutorial was very story driven. It's kind of like, once again, you're this guy with a great destiny who's like thrust on a big adventure with some fast friends. I stepped out of a portal, and that made a lot of people uneasy.
They weren't happy with that, you know? Normally it's just demons.
Yeah, there were quite a few demons that came out, and actually when I was in line, there were demons in front of me and demons behind me, and I was... Yeah, I came out of the portal, went through the tutorial. You quickly find out what your great destiny is. My logo in the party is a hand.
Yeah.
Not all,
Isn't that always the trade-off though between like the open world games?
Yeah.
They wanted to make it more sandboxy, therefore the story is not going to feel as
Yeah,
Kate's
there's,
point's
immediate.
incredibly valid.
And at least
Yeah.
the quests in all of the various side areas like sort of tie back to the Inquisition because part of the Inquisition's role is just to stabilize the world
Absolutely.
at large.
Planning troop movements now.
I'm trying to imagine what it will look like when we're done.
It's not quite as detached as Skyrim, where like you're the Dragonborn, but you're also like making grain at this mill
Yeah,
for
definitely.
No reason.
It's like not at that level where the
Yeah.
entire game scales with you. So I mean, you could literally begin the game and then not necessarily return to the mainline story until you're level 45.
Right.
This one more in the sense of, you know, I got the impression like once I hit that first kind of open world zone, as it were, I could stay there from, you know, levels or from hours 1 through
You could.
my 11 if I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think I've
Yeah.
only done maybe 1 or 2 things outside of that so far.
I feel like that was probably BioWare's intention was for people to say, okay, well, I need to move on with the story and, you know, I'll finish exploring this place later. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are completionists that,
Absolutely.
you know, feel like, okay, well, this is the first, you know, zone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
do
everything
all my
here.
quests, yeah.
I'm gonna find all the
It
collectibles
is
and then I'm gonna move
very-
on.
I have
Counter-
the same mindset.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive to the way most other games are set up, where you go
Absolutely.
to a zone, you do everything, you leave.
Yeah, you can definitely get sucked into an open world zone for quite a while. So that is an interesting
Yeah.
luxury. I think it's
It
interesting
is,
the way
yeah.
this game does not have a scaling system. It's brought back this kind of old school RPG feeling
Yeah.
that I used to have from like 90s things where like you kind of test like
Test the waters.
yeah, like Jurassic Park, they said the Raptors tested all the fences. Like, I'm like that guy. Like, I gain a level, and I'm like, all right, level 12 Fade Drift, I'm back. Okay, I'm leaving again.
The War Table, I mean, it's, as far as a gameplay mechanic, it's pretty powerful
It
because
is.
it allows you to, you know, bring in all sorts of narratives that, like, you don't really have the time to play through as a guy that's just, like, running around and, like, collecting things. There's a choice between which person you can send on missions on the War Table, and that actually does affect the rewards,
Yes.
but in general, the rewards just don't really make any difference to you. There are missions that are legitimately interesting that unlock other things. I mean, like, you may find a broken bridge somewhere and you can go back to the War Table and fix it.
And then you can
or
go
you
explore.
have, you know, you have your party members and you can send people off on War Table missions to further potential, like, dialogue opportunities with them. Or that's, you know, that's an obviously good usage of the War Table, but I think in general there are just a lot of quests that were there, and the parallel everyone always makes to the War Table is Farmville, because it really is just kind of like the mobile game of,
Yeah.
you know, people are sent out and there's a time requirement, you know, you come back later and you
check on it,
Exactly.
The one thing I really like about the War Table in a more narrative sense is that you really do feel like you're part of an organization. that is affecting the world.
What's the old Inquisition motto again?
I'm not saying it again, Sarah.
Come on.
Into darkness, unafraid.
Around the corner, chocolate's made.
Can we talk about the Inquisitor a little bit?
Specifically?
Him or herself?
Okay, we can talk about
The main
Kui.
character.
Kui, trade mark.
So as you probably know, in this game, you, again, like in Origins, can pick your race.
Mm-hmm.
In Dragon Age 2, you could only be human. In this one, you can be dwarf, elf, human, or Kunari. Pick your gender and your class, of course. So that, I feel like that, by making it that broad, they have made the Inquisitor incredibly boring. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawk felt like a real person to me. She had, like, or he had a family, had this history, had a personality, no matter what options you chose.
Don't worry, Bethany. I won't let any big bad Templars come get you.
It's not a joke.
I don't know what that pissant thug is paying you, but I'll double it. Just let us go.
I might change my mind if I knew how you wronged the Red Iron.
I don't even know if I can help you get in.
Would it help if I said you were my favorite uncle?
It'd make me feel better, but that's about it.
By the end of the game, like, Hawk felt as much like a real person as anybody else in your party. And
yeah, absolutely.
in this game, like, the Inquisitor is just so dull.
We should spend more time together. We'll have some differences, but I want to be one of your friends. We make the world a better place. Things went according to plan for once. I couldn't be happier. I don't think anyone is equipped any better than you are. I enjoyed this. We'll deal with whatever he throws at us.
What do we do now?
We go back to Skyhold.
And I think it's you hit the nail on the head there. In Dragon Age Origins, where you once again had a variety of races to choose from, but you get a feel for all those races. You get their origin story.
Yeah, their origin story still gave you that mindset to go through the rest of the game with. As,
absolutely.
You know, this is where my character comes from. This is what he or she had to deal with. You meet their families or their friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of go through the whole game, like, sort of referencing that as you make your choices.
Morning, my son. It's your big day. Oh, I wish your mother could have been here.
For the Inquisitor, you get a paragraph when you start the game that says, you know, this is who you are, and you are at this thing for this reason, and then that's kind of it.
No one really has, you know, a reason to be with you or
Yeah.
really follow you, except that you're the main character of the game. I mean, it's not the first time a game has said, okay, well, we're going to have our players self-insert into the story. Like, it's okay, I think, but it's not...
But you can't...
It's not interesting.
I doubt it, but I do my best.
In Origins, they build you a really rich story and everything.
Yes.
In like Dragon Age 2, they don't give you the customizability.
Right.
They're like,
So-
you're this person.
so
But
they
then
can-
they do a damn good job of building that person.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas with this, I wholeheartedly agree. It's very much like, oh, the Inquisitor.
Yep.
You're that hand guy.
Yeah.
I think your dialogue options are also very much influenced by the fact that you're this person who only, only because, you know, once again, to keep referencing, in Origins, like a lot of your dialogue selections were very much based on the origin story that you chose.
Yeah.
It was,
But you had that reference point, like, you remembered when Hal killed your parents, and, you know, you remembered, like, when you got kicked out of Orzammar or whatever. So those choices had weight.
Exactly.
Emotional weight.
It's easy to forget you're not just an icon or symbol.
You were a person in close proximity to the Divine when she died?
Maybe that original Fate riff was the womb, and that's where the Kui comes from.
Was thrust out of.
They got Benjamin Button thing going on. I came out as the middle-aged Inquisitor. Just...
Yeah, that's my headcanon from now on.
Okay.
I'm like a Game of Thrones tinfoil hat person.
It's like poetry or something, I don't know. Get a bard on that.
What do you think the alternatives to this could potentially be? Do you think having the character be Kui was like essential to the game? Like the fact that you're this person who's, yeah, you're the Inquisitor, but you also have this phenomenal power that no one else can ever potentially get.
Well, I think they made a huge mistake by you start the game by you walking out of the Fade, and a little bit later in one of the main story missions you do get like some flashbacks, so you kind of see what happened.
Okay.
But even then, it's just kind of, and I think they needed to start it, and yes, this is like not that exciting at first, but they needed to start it with you going to this conclave and you seeing the people talking, and you know you're with whoever is part of your group, and they're saying like, oh my god, this is so boring, we have to sit through this or whatever, and then they all die in this explosion, and you suddenly have some sort of reference for
I absolutely agree with you. You get that hole in your memory filled by whatever plot device that they use, and you basically only learn about the like 10 minutes preceding the actual the Divine's death.
Yes,
and
you
so you
coming
still
out of the
don't
Fade.
have a reason for being at the conclave.
Besides what they told you in your paragraph at the beginning.
Right. And it just felt a little bit too fast. Like at least in my opinion. I mean, the tutorial was literally you're some guy who's at this meeting that's the end result of like 2 games worth of conflict between these 2 very powerful and like well-developed organizations.
Right.
And literally the first second of me doing something was hitting new game, and like the screen blows up. Like the like screen where you hit new game, you're seeing the conclave, you're seeing these people wandering in there, and the whole thing explodes. It was like this Michael Bay type opening to a game. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I would have liked to have seen why you were going there and a little bit of origin story that led you to
meeting some people that are soon to perish in this explosion, and then maybe you'll have some kind of actual emotions towards it. You don't actually care about anybody that was there because we don't know them. I mean, even Justinia, like, we haven't met her in any games up until this point. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is the most prominent member that's really even talked about later on is Justinia, and you don't not only do you have any feelings for her like at the time she's killed, like they kind of like half-assedly tell you about her through Liliana.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
Then you're like, well, maybe I should feel bad, but like I didn't know this character at all. It has no meaning to me.
She's also a person just characterized by her position. In that sense, I can empathize with her because I'm just quick.
You're pretty big to be one of my contacts. Important, I mean, not fat.
I know we're making like a lot of
a lot of criticisms about it,
but it's a good game.
It's a game
that's really fun, and I'm gonna
it's lasted me 60 hours.
Yeah,
100 hours.
and I plan on replaying it. Like
it's worth your money.
Yeah, this has incredibly high expectations. It has incredibly good games that came before it, so it has a lot to live up to. And just because certain things they did better in previous games, it is a little disappointing when you see like, well, you did such a good job with the protagonist in Dragon Age 2, and now I'm just with this like bland person that looks great because the character creator is like really great, and she has no personality.
As someone that went from Dragon Age Origins to Dragon Age Inquisition, the replayability factor hurts for me a little bit. Being able to go through every single origin story and having it affect the game a lot, and just being really cool. To this
that's
kind
true.
of bland, like, well, you pick your race, but other than that, it doesn't really have any effect other than, what stats you start with.
Yeah.
So.
You almost sound like you admire me.
So we talked a little bit about combat. We talked a lot bit about combat. We talked a little bit about story, how we feel about that. Overall impressions.
Would we recommend it to fans of previous games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Absolutely.
One thing I've heard, I think from BioWare themselves, is that this is a great entry into the series. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because so much that happened in Dragon Age 2 is directly tied to the story of Inquisition. I mean, I know you didn't play 2, so do you feel in the dark
My
about
opinion
stuff?
on that whole thing is like I felt like the game itself and the story behind the game itself was very accessible. Like I think it's important for them to include things from their past games.
They did a very good job making the history of the previous games tie into this, and I think you can still get into this as your first foray into Dragon Age. I do feel like you're missing an extra layer of story if you didn't play the earlier games.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do yourself a favor and play Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah. DAI.
If you like RPGs, it's probably going to be the best thing you play this year.
Mm-hmm. And if you've played the game, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with basically everything that everybody has said?
And if you haven't played the game, but you've just watched this video, like, how do you think about us? Like, do you hate us? Do you like us? In either case, like, subscribe.
And if you type mean things, make them funny. I love a good roast as long as you really get zany. I'm going to regret saying that. Oh my god, these runes. Oh, this is hot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I hope that wasn't rolling. Otherwise, it's going in a folder called blackmail.